Today, we have the honor to discuss the risks of a wider conflict in the Middle East with Dr. Majed Al Ansari, advisor to the Prime Minister and spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Qatar. Dr. Majed, thank for being here with us. The world is waiting for an Israeli response of the Iranian attacks of some days ago. We don't know what kind of dynamic of escalation will be established, but we are sure that we are on the brink of a war that could be a regional catastrophe, a global catastrophe with a huge impact on geopolitics and global economy. So is there still a room for Qatar and for the international community to prevent such a broader escalation?
Well, Aldo, first of all, thank you for having me. It's always good to be in the great city of Milano. I really think that you can never say that the chance for peace is over. And I think we can't afford to say this when you are working within the realms of the international community and you understand the dangers of conflict. There's always hope. There has to always be hope, and we have to always have that possibility in mind. Now, that said, I think anybody who's working closely with the current situation is by definition pessimistic, because we are seeing a situation in the region that we haven't seen for decades. This war is exceptional in all possible senses, and the level of escalation has broken all the rules of engagement that have established the freezing of the conflict for so many years right now. When we see the escalation that is taking place now between Iran and Israel, it is very clear that there is a perception of existential threat on both sides. And when you have that kind of sense, it's very difficult to talk about mediation, to talk about peace, to talk about possible conflict resolution. And therefore, the only way we see forward now is escalation, sadly. But we need to work together as an international community to control the elements in order to contain the conflict. There will be escalation. The worst days have not come in this conflict yet, but we have to work together as an international community to make sure that there is a chance for peace when there is a window for it. And right now, it might seem quite hopeless, but unless we keep the momentum going on the pressure from the international community, we will see a level of escalation that will be unparalleled in the region's history and will have repercussions beyond our region and for global security as a whole.
Thank you, Dr. Majed. And how does the current dynamic between Israel and Iran impacting negotiations on Gaza between Israel and Hamas?
Obviously, the nucleus of the current escalation in the region is the situation in Gaza. And since day one, my government said very clearly in all its communiques and all its official statements that the priority number one should be containing the conflict and making sure that there is no regional spillover. And we have warned in all of our meetings since day one that any regional spillover might end up engulfing the whole region in total war. Sadly, we are heading into that trajectory right now, and the guardrails are off. The talks in Gaza, at one point we were saying, and to a very recent point, we were saying that if you end the war on Gaza, if you have calm in Gaza, if you have a ceasefire in Gaza, all of these other escalations will die down very quickly, including the Houthis, the situation that was there in Iraq, and obviously the escalation between Hezbollah and Lebanon and Israel, and Iran and Israel. Right now, the danger is that a lot of these escalations are taking a life of their own right now. The dynamics with the Houthis are quite different now than they were at the beginning of the war. They actually came out with a statement and said that, now we have our own issues over this escalation. If you look at the situation between Iran and Israel, it is very clear right now that for Israel, this is a direct confrontation with Iran. That is not a byproduct of the war in Gaza, not a byproduct of the 7th of October, but its own operation, its own project that is entrenched in the security strategy of Israel in the region and how it looks at threat perception in the region as a whole. If you look at the situation in Lebanon, this is a moment in history where Israel has decided to launch an operation in Lebanon that is the biggest in its history. The death toll in this week, less than a week, is already has surpassed the death toll in 2006. So the talks in Gaza right now, they are of course very difficult. They're continuing, we are continuing our efforts in the mediation, working with our partners in Egypt and the United States. But obviously, I would be delusional if I didn't say that we are very pessimistic about the result because of the escalation that is taking place in Lebanon right now, which is taking, of course, center stage.
Thank you, Dr. Majed.
Pleasure.